This program proudly brought to you by Southern Cross Pitch and Putt and Henry's Family Restaurant. Cannon's walking wounded collect another insult as the Taipans bite at the AIS Arena.
Now they're starting to light up from outside the three-point line.
At the other end of town, we bring you the highlights from the Capitals' clash with Bulleen. And we wrap up another week in the NBL here on Cannon's Courtside.
Cannon's Courtside goes on location once again today from the Destiny Restaurant in Kingston, with people getting out and about. Good morning and welcome to Cannon's Courtside once again. Well, we are out and about last week at the Park Royal and today in the streets of Kingston. Great to have you with us. We've got a big show lined up for you. Our first guests today are Brad Barnes, the coach of the Canberra Gunners, and David Patrick from the Canberra Cannons. Good morning, fellows.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great to have you with us, and certainly not great to have you with us again, David, because you'd rather be on the road with the Cannons tonight, who are in Townsville, and you're not with them again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I had surgery on my foot Tuesday, same foot, which I injured early in the year, and which means I'll probably miss another 6 weeks, but, hopefully things will be better this time around.
Hopefully, because it's been a tough season for you, hasn't it?
It has, especially, with the team losing and then me, missing so many games in my first year. It's been a tough year, but, there's only brighter stuff, and there's only better stuff, that can come.
Yep. And Brad, having you in here from the Canberra Gunners indicates that things are just about to get underway again in the ABA.
Yeah, our season starts next week, and we're looking forward to a good season this year.
Great season last year, and you can build on that.
Yeah, well, the last two seasons we made the playoffs. I think this year we're trying to take that one step further and get a home final and maybe win the championship.
I'll get into the Gunners a little bit later in the program, but first we must find out what happened with the Cannons last week. Up against the Cairns Taipans in a game here at the Palace that promised so much, didn't it? Terrific first quarter, and how many times have we said that this year?
I know, it's like a broken record. Come out good in the first half, and the third quarter starts, and we're not sparked up, and the other team just takes over. I don't know what we have to do to maintain that first half effort, but the same thing happened this weekend.
Well, class took over in the end, I think, but the first quarter, and in fact the first half, was a good one from the Cannons, where they came out and sort of left everything out on the floor, didn't they? I mean, it was just one of those quarters where everything went right. It
was, we came out fired up, and our motto for that game was to play together, and I think we did that in the first half, but we couldn't withstand that for the whole game.
Again, it was a tough situation because you had a made-up team again with injuries and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, we did. This last week we had Joe Hurst playing for us, and this week we had DJ McGlynn, who came in and did a good job. So it's hard to get to know new players every week, especially in this league.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights here, and as you can see, playing hard, and Paul Vandenberg taking the point roll to start off and running the floor. That was a good sign.
It was a good start, running early in the game, getting some easy layups, which was good for us, to get us up to a good start.
And Jason Wells, again, has been terrific all year. He's really taken the ball hard to the hole. Paul Vandenberg, hasn't he stepped up?
Yeah, he has. He's taken his chance to start, and he's doing a good job with it. He's been fairly consistent when he's been in there.
Demetrius Montgomery scoring well there early, but that was one of the big problems, wasn't it? Demetrius got into foul trouble. He had 4 in the first quarter?
Yeah, he had 4, right in the first quarter, which, when he came back in the game, it was kind of cold because he had to sit the first half. We didn't really have any big man to back him up.
Yeah, given the lack of numbers that you had, you couldn't really afford to lose Montgomery. But, well, it looks like a replay of the first play, doesn't it?
It Hopefully, we wish we could have played like that the whole game.
Yeah, but got away particularly well. And I hope we're showing mostly first quarter here too, because it got a little uglier later on.
It got very ugly.
But Willie Simmons, who paired on the inside there with Geordie Cullen, they showed they can play together.
They did play well in flashes, and hopefully, they can withstand that this weekend against Townsville for the whole game. Willie came in and did a good job.
been difficult for someone like Brad Williams too, because Brad's had to sometimes handle the ball at the point. He's had to play small forward, which is probably a better role for him. He's had to play off guard, and it's difficult fitting into all those spots.
It is definitely. You know, he's played all 5 positions, but you know, hopefully that makes him better. You know, a better all-around player. You know, in the future.
Yeah, well, the Cairns Taipans looked like they were going to have a real game on their hands. This is one of the difficulties, guarding people like these fellows. Anthony Stewart on the outside. Aaron Trahair had a terrific game for the Taipans.
He did have a great game, and so did Ben Knight. You know, I think we've had a hard time stopping the 2 main scorers, which are guards. You know, we need to do something about that. You know, Anthony Stewart had a great game.
But I liked Aaron Trahair's game in particular because of the way he distributed the ball. I said to him after the game, I thought it almost took me back to the days when it was at the Institute. He had it on a string and was one of the best passers in the game. Lost his way for a few years. He seems to be coming back as a very, very good player again.
He has, you know. It's good to see him coming back playing well. You know, I don't know if he lost his confidence or whatnot the last few years, but it looks like he's back to where he was.
Except you didn't want him to do it against you guys.
No, exactly.
But they are a very potent team when you've got people like Stewart lining up on the outside. Aaron Trahair, who can hit that outside shot as well. But here we see Trahair on the move again, just attracting people, but he attracted the wrong guy. He attracted Willie Simmons.
Yeah, that was a good block by Willie.
Willie loves that, of course. And Trahair had the ball in his hands a lot of the time and just found the people. There's finding Ben Knight again. And, well, they got away on you in the end, didn't they, as the score climbed towards the end. And it was a shame because... well, it was such a good game to start with, but when people read the scoreline in the paper the next morning, they don't realise that.
Exactly, you know, but hopefully we can capitalise from our mistakes from last week and build on it this week.
This week, as I say, tonight the team's in Townsville. You're not with them, but a very, very tough one up there.
Yeah, they are tough, especially at home, you know, which doesn't make it any easier. But, you know, I think we just have to go out and try and put 4 quarters together, and, you know, you never know what can happen.
As a matter of fact, we spoke to Cal Bruton earlier in the week to get his thoughts on the trip to Townsville. This is what Cal had to say. Well, we're not going to hear from Cal just yet, but he in fact went up there tonight with, I guess, the same sort of team that he went into the game against the Taipans with, so it was always going to be tough.
It was definitely, but you know, this week we've had a whole week of practice together, especially with DJ in there, so you know, we threw some new things in there in our offense, and hopefully they can, you know, come out in the game tonight.
Well, I think Cal's ready to talk to us now. Let's get his thoughts on that Townsville game.
All the things point against us. You know, they got a parochial crowd. They got a superstar that's being touted as a league MVP in Rob Rose. Yes, they minus one of their other superstars in McKinnon. But, you know, they got a guy like Brad Davison who stepped up in the starting role and they haven't looked back, you know. Yes, it's a tough situation for us, particularly in our present losing situation. But at the same time, each week presents us with another challenge, and I can't think of anything better than to go up there and have them totally underestimate us because they feel like we done totally hit the wall, and we come out and play the best possible basketball we can play and find ourselves in a position to win come 4th quarter with 1 minute to go. Well, DJ McGlynn has really been a nice, pleasant surprise. You know, I like a little coin for every comment I've received about him stepping up last week in his first game and minus the proper uniform, name on his back, and getting out there and going for it. You know, he's aggressive, he was assertive, you know, he talked it up, and he looked comfortable, you know. And I think that's half the battle when you bring in new people in the program, that how quickly do they slide in. This confidence, he oozes confidence, so, you know, it didn't seem to be a problem with him.
Count the basket, though. Count the basket to DJ McGlynn. And he could come up with a 3-point play here. And makes it. So the lead is back to 12.
Yes, what a moment was last weekend for DJ McGlynn, playing his first NBL game, and a huge step up in class for him coming out of the Western Australian State League. We're going to find a little bit more out about DJ McGlynn after the break when we talk to the Canberra Gunners coach Brad Barnes, but we've got a lot more to come here on Cannon's Courtside.
Okay, do you want to change that mic back to a lapel? Yeah, working now.
Which one? Mine?
Or just plug it in and you can do a quick trick and then we'll go to the next segment.
Tim might be able to play.
Oh, really?
One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. This is Phil on this microphone. Yeah.
Okay, this next segment, we're running out of time, so it has to be fairly short. Okay, stand by.
Blades Menswear are proud sponsors of the Canberra Cannons. Blades Menswear for the world's finest clothes. Want to see the Cannons' next home game for free and get a free meal from Henry's Family Restaurant? You can simply by entering our competition and go in the draw for our grand prize of airfares, accommodation and tickets to an NBL Grand Final. Go to the Cannons homepage and register. It's that easy. This week's question, who is the new Cannons player recruited from the Canberra Gunners?
And only a few more weeks left to enter that competition, so get busy. Today we're coming to you from the Destiny restaurant here in Kingston as we take Cannons Courtside into the streets of Canberra once again. As I mentioned, only a few weeks to enter the competition. There's only a few weeks more to go in the home and away series of the NBL. Let's check on what's happened in the last week around the country.
The Wollongong Hawks got round 20 in the NBL going with a solid 19-point win over the home team West Sydney. The Razorbacks lost Cotton early and he was ejected following this melee. Simon Dwight top scored for the Pigs, but he had little support as the Hawks showed their championship credentials. Charles Thomas and Damon Lowry combined with Glenn Saville as the Hawks closed in on the league leaders, the Victoria Titans. Perth continued the weekend trend of wins by visitors as they edged out a determined Bullets in Brisbane. Despite 40 points from Simon Curl, the Bullets were unable to stop the defending champs. Scott Fisher for the Wildcats top scored with 27 and Paul Rogers returned to some form with 19. Townsville added to the 36ers' woes by snatching a narrow 6-point win in Adelaide. Rob Rose was unstoppable for 32 points as the home team slipped further down the NBL ladder. Brett Maher collected 24, but Adelaide's three-point shooting must be causing coach Smythe some heartaches. And the round concluded with the departure of the Melbourne Tigers from the NBL playoff race. The Sydney Kings, led by Shane Hill and Frank Drimmick, withstood a late rally from the Tigers and ended Melbourne's faint playoff aspirations. It's the first time in 13 years that the Tigers will not be in the NBL final series.
He gets used to the Kings system.
It's certainly getting tough at the top of the NBL. With the Sydney Kings coming home with a real rush. In fact, they've won 7 in a row, and Sydney, in fact, beating the Cairns Taipans in overtime last night to go 16-8 now. And in fact, they've cemented their spot in the top 6 for the first time in 5 years. They're headed for the playoffs, but Victoria, Wollongong, Townsville, Perth, Sydney, Adelaide will be the top 6 in the playoffs. Let's talk about the ABA now, and as I mentioned, I've got coach Brad Barnes from the Canberra Gunners with us. Brad, it's all starting, what, in about a week's time for you guys?
Yeah, next week we play our first game against Frankston, and lucky for us, our first 3 games are at home, and then we're on the road.
Say lucky for you, but you got a tough one first up against Frankston.
Yeah, since the last couple of years we've always played Frankston early in the season, and Frankston's always been a tough team in the ABA, and yeah, not looking forward to the first one.
You've got a few new players. We talked about one just a little earlier, DJ McGlynn, who played with the Canberra Cannons last week. Tremendous step up in class, but he looked like he was a lot of things going for him. He handled the step up fairly well, even though it was tough. He looked like he could certainly play in the ABA. Yeah, we're looking forward to getting a good season out of DJ. It's unfortunate for us, we're losing for the first couple of games being with the Cannons, but I mean, that's a part of our program, is producing players to take the next step, and that's a great step for DJ. What about your other new players? Yeah, we've got guys like Paul Denman, ex-Cannon players coming back, an ex-West Sydney's player, Grant Keys, as well as guys coming back from injury. Have a look at some of your players in training here, and we've got a lot of familiar faces there, but as you say, some of those guys coming in. I mean, Paul Denman's had experience overseas in the last couple of years, has played in the NBL, and Grant Keys as well. That gives you some good NBL experience, but you're going to come up against teams that have got American imports for a start, which are tough to handle. Yes. So you haven't got any imports in the team this year? No imports. We're a Canberra-based team. 80% of our players are born and bred Canberrans, and we mix a couple of guys from interstate. I think that's one of our strengths, though, is we've got a core group we've kept for the last couple of seasons, and there's not one player that teams can scout on or concentrate on, because we're trying to get 4 or 5 guys getting double figures a game. Some of the players that have come out of the ABA in the last couple of years have been some real surprise packers. Damon Lowry came out, he's been played in the ABA for many years, came out as a star with the Wollongong Hawks this year. It just shows how strong our league is. I mean, Jason Smith, who's an Olympian, played in the ABA last year, as well as a lot of NBL players use the off-season to play in our league. Plus good Americans, it's just making our league better, which is good for our Australian players and good for the league in general. You had a look around the other teams and having a look at what they've got and trying to figure out just how you might go this year? Yeah, I mean, Geelong have recruited well. They've been an ex-NBL program. They still run the same kind of ship down there and got imports and Australian players. But like I say, I think with our strength is being our core group, having the same team the last couple of years. I think a top 4 finish would be realistic for us. You pretty much know what you're doing now, don't you? I mean, you've been there for a couple of years and you've sort of got a bit of a routine going now. Yeah, I mean, as myself personally being a player and an assistant coach and now a coach in the league, you get to know what to expect. And like I said, it's getting a stronger league, but I think we're stepping up to the challenge each year. Okay, good luck to the team. Thanks for joining us here this morning. Thanks very much, Phil. And David Patrick, thanks for you for coming in too. The rehab, it's going to take you a few...
Rehab, it'll probably take 6 to 8 weeks, but I'm not going to rush it this time around, and take my time to be ready for next season.
Okay, look forward to seeing you back on the court. Thanks for joining us again today.
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk WNBL after the break, because the Canberra Capitals and the Bulleen Boomers were at it last night at Tuggeranong. We got all that for you, and a couple of Capitals guests as well. More on Cannons Courtside.
Some guy came up and said, I want to be a major sponsor, so...
Really?
All this kind of publicity for the Gunners at the moment is really
fantastic. God, who was that?
Yeah, it was the most wanted sponsorship.
Yeah.
A carpet, Capital Carpets or something. He's going away on holidays for a week, he's going to come back and just
That's great news.
So all the exposure is excellent for us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good on you. Okay.
Shirt.
How are you going, Coach?
Not bad. How are you? You haven't got as much makeup on as we did. The refs were I think we had Travis and Jason.
Is that it?
That's it, mate.
We want 20 minutes.
I know you.
And they've had good seasons, I think. Jason. It was, and Pauline came out and played really physical, like bump and foul, and it was like
Foul, 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 foul. Big one.
Who was the kid you had last week? The kid with the Shelley haircut.
Yeah, he was good.
Becca, who's a New South.
Yes, welcome back to Cannon's Courtside. We're coming from the Destiny restaurant here in Kingston. We certainly get around on this show. And someone else with me who certainly gets around is Carrie Graff from the Canberra Capitals and Shelley Sandy. Good morning, girls.
Good morning, Phil. We try not to get around too much.
Yeah, I've seen you in other places though. Let's get into it. Last night you were in Tuggeranong and you played the Bulleen Boomers, and a game you had to win to maintain top spot on the ladder.
Absolutely, it was a great game. Probably the most physical game we've had this season. It was bump and grind a little. We probably could have given the Brumbies a run for their money the way the game was played, but it was probably the best thing that Bulleen could have done for us is play us physical, play us hard, and that's what we're going to get in the playoffs. So it was a great contest for us.
Okay, let's look at some of the action here because it was a game that you had to win. Shelley, there was a situation you didn't want to be in because you wanted to knock off Adelaide last week to get that top spot, but you had to win last night to get that position to be in top spot and have a chance of hosting the final.
Yeah, and as Carrie said, I think it was a good game for us, and it was good that we had to focus on it to be like a final. Otherwise, we may not have been as up being the last game if we didn't have to prepare for it. But it was great for us.
And what about this one? Kristen Veal, she came out and fired like she didn't fire last week.
Yeah, unbelievably. I mean, really showed. When she plays like that, this team plays great. You know, she controlled the momentum, she hit the big open three, and I think she, when Vealy feels like she's doing things for the team, that's when she plays great. And this week she made a video clip to music and showed it to the team on Thursday after practice and handed them all a copy with a quote on it. And that's her way of leading this team as a point guard and sharing with them her aspirations for a second championship.
Great to see her in that kind of form too, because I remember back to last year's final where she played so well. She's the MVP in the final. If she's in that kind of form at this time of the year, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. And like I said, she's the on-court leader because she's a point guard, and Shelley obviously is the other leader as our captain. But when she's controlling the momentum for us and really on a game, it makes a huge difference to our team.
And to beat Dandenong the way you did last night was a pretty good effort because they're no slouches. I mean, if you go on their previous form, they beat Dandenong the week before.
Yeah, they did. I mean, Bulleen are tough. They got some great shooters. I mean, Gina Stevens is a former Opal and had 30 last week, and Tash O'Brien had 30 against us in the first game of the season. And Nat Porter, I think that kid's an unbelievable talent. She's got great long arms, and she had 18, I think. You see, they're just defending Lauren Jackson. So they've got some talented players, and they really pushed us, which was good. Even though we had an 18-point margin, it was a pretty physical game.
Now, did you get everyone in the game last night?
Not quite. We had Sarah Berry and Yvonne Christensen didn't get to play, but we played 8, which is a fairly deep complement. So it was good to get most of the players on the floor.
Now, Shelley, the hair, you've got the finals hair going here, have we?
That's right. Well, I've been referred to as Nana Sandy quite a bit lately, so I thought I'd go with the blue rings.
I can't see the blue there, but it looks very sandy. But you're feeling pretty good about the way the team is right now, heading into the finals.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've been playing pretty consistent basketball since the Christmas break, and we've been training well. Everyone's in great form, I think, so things are looking good.
Now, is it settled, the date? Is it next Saturday for the semi-final?
Yeah, next Saturday, 4:40 at the AIS Arena. So come down, and we want to fill that stadium because when we played Tuggeranong, we have just greatest atmosphere, so much energy there, and we want that to happen at the AIS Arena.
Yeah. Okay. So you played. You know who you play?
Oh no, sorry, we're not sure yet. It looks like it will be Sydney though.
Okay. And what's that like as a matchup for you?
I mean, it's a tough one because they're such a big team. They're monstrous compared to us as far as size and physicality goes. But we've got the split on them this year with three wins. They haven't beaten us yet. So I think the other thing for them is they've got Belinda Snell, who has been in great form, particularly against us. She's managed to get the 3 away way too often. But I think we've so far this season we've had the edge on them. So if we meet them, we're fairly confident. it could be Adelaide if there's an upset tomorrow.
Tough situation for Karen Dalton because she took over from Tom Maher, and of course Robin went as well. And Karen, I mean, the team's results went down a little bit at that stage, but she's got to be starting to find out a bit more about her team and be ready to take them through the finals.
Absolutely, and I think Karen has had a wonderful experience as a player. You know, she's a dual Olympian and played a lot of playoff series herself as a player, and I think she's really getting a feel for the team now. So, you know, Sydney started great. I don't think it was all Karen Dalton's fault that they fell off a little bit, but I think, you know, she'll get the team cooking come playoff time.
Okay, I think we've got to get out of here because our time's running out on us, but thanks very much for coming in here this morning. Hope you enjoyed your brunch and your breakfast here this morning. Thanks for joining us on the show again.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, that's it for Cannon's Courtside once again. A terrific show. We've got another great one lined up for you next week as well, but we take you out today, as we always do, with our Play of the Day.